The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer inebriation is advised, though not mandatory.
Last week we talked about scary ghost stories. This week we're following that up with the next part of that song, Tales of the Glories of Christmases Long, Long Ago. This is the last call before Christmas, so I can't think of a better way to spend it. Friends and family getting together, preparing to celebrate the holiday, and reminiscing about the previous years. What are some of your favorite Christmas memories? Let me know in the chat. And while you do that, be sure to let me know what you're sipping on. We'll roll out this special holiday Canarble Wagon right now.
Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
Welcome, and merry week before Christmas. Hope everyone is doing really, really well today. I'm going to keep it a little bit low key as far as what I'm sipping on. I got nothing now. I got nothing. I started the stream without getting myself a drink, I'm not having any alcohol tonight because I've got a rip-roaring headache, and I was unable to get rid of it before the stream. So,
you know what you need? A glass of milk.
A glass of milk?
Maybe.
Okay. I probably just need water or something.
Big fudge brownie.
Or not non-carbonated.
Big fudge brownie.
I do have a brownie left from Mother's birthday, so
there you go.
Could manage that too. But welcome everyone, and welcome to you, Santa Boomer. How you doing, and what are you sipping on?
I got myself a Minute Maid fruit punch in the can, good. But I figure if I remember in Scrooge the Musical how Bob Cratchit said Christmas punch is a Cratchit specialty. So I imagine that punch at Christmas time was a thing, right?
I'm fired up about that. That's good stuff. Let's say hello to the chat, starting with the early bird, and I don't mean that in a sexist, derogatory way. I mean that in the kindest way possible. Lady Mist, you were here shortly after I got the stream up, so you were here a little bit before 7 my time. Dropping the flowers to encourage me. Thank you so much, Lady Mist. Of course, Curtis Selby. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. JPRPH1. Welcome. Last call, Troy Pacelli. He's an ass. Big Al presents. Welcome. Have a great stream. And he's wishing everyone a Merry Christmas. Thank you, my friend. Absolutely. Let's see. The Bird Woman of YouTube, Connie Cleary, welcome. So glad you're here. And salute to Deleted Scenes. Good to see you, my friend. David Pensack. It's time for Last Call with Troy Pacelli. Thank you so much. Space Fraggle, also known as Troy. And a special Christmas to you, Aged Boomer.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see here. Troy and everyone in the chat, thank you. I saw. Did I miss? There he is. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. What's up? Welcome, my friend. Welcome. Matanui. Hi there. So Matanui, the pictures you shared on Discord, is that a new computer that you got? Kind of feeling like shit tonight, so I'm unsure how chatty I'm going to be. I know exactly what you mean, but the show must go on.
I am wiped out, man. I've been so busy.
Hello, love of my life.
Hi, Natter. she's working on a project, so she's not going to be here tonight.
I see.
And Geek Flag with Nate Knows, Nook Nah, Troy, Boomer, and Netters. So what do I want? I want all of you to enjoy this last call before Christmas. So let's go ahead and get right down to it. We are broadcasting here on my channel. We are broadcasting on Aged Boomer's channel, and we're going out to the what do you call it? The X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So we're out there on the different platforms. And after the first of the year, hopefully I will be doing away with StreamYards, and I'll be able to broadcast to more locations.
A lot of people are angry about StreamYard. Well, I hear a lot of YouTubers complaining.
I will not be using StreamYard in the new year. That's for absolutely damn sure. Hey, I hope it works out for them. I hope that whatever.
They're talking about leaving too. They're talking about leaving too. Yeah.
Good. Screw them. I am so effing pissed. It's one thing if you want to raise your prices and change the service levels after my subscription period ends. In the middle of a subscription period, when I paid for a certain service level, and you change it in midstream, screw you. Absolutely. Welcome, Tim Hayes. He says, "Hail, Papa Pacelli." Welcome. Space Fraggle says he's doing great. Of course, he's talking to JPRPH1. I got a response from a YouTuber that very rarely comments back. After 5 years, he made contact with me. Something nice. Well, that is awesome to hear. I made a comment on a YouTube channel. I would share who it was, but I can't remember. It's a bigger channel. Someone who is already well established, bigger than me. Another big YouTube channel recommended that channel, so I went and subscribed. And I just, for the heck of it, while I was there, said, I am here subscribing because Sydney Watson did a video and mentioned you. So, why not? Well, guess what? That YouTuber said, "Oh, thanks, so glad to have you." I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, But yeah. So that's a nice thing. Did I ever tell you I got a letter back from President of the United States, Ronald Reagan?
You mentioned that. We talked about Reagan.
Yeah. When he was shot at by John Hinckley Jr.
Yeah, you all wrote letters. Yeah,
everyone in my class we wrote a letter to him separately, not like we all wrote one letter. We each wrote our own letters and mailed them in, and I got a response back, and I still have it in my book of keepsakes and whatnot. Speaking of which, I will have some pictures to share with you later in the stream. You saw the first one, a picture of little 2-year-old Troy with Grandma and Grandpa and Uncle Richard back in 1973. That was on the thumbnail. I'll bring that picture up. In fact, Netter was looking at it because one of these days I'll have to straighten this place up and give you guys a little tour of where I stream from. But up on the big screen, I usually put up my my YouTube. I've got StreamYard on the screen in front of me, and up on the big screen, I put up YouTube. And so I had it up, and so it was like 11 by 17 big, of the thumbnail. And Netter looks at it and goes, "Okay, so I'm assuming the little one's you." And I was going to make a smart comment about, well, the thing right next to it says, "Yes, this is little Troy." But then I realized that the way it was up there and it was saying how long to the stream starts was covering that, so she couldn't see that. So I'm like, okay, yes, that's me. She's like, "And that's your mom, right?" And I looked, And I realized that my mom looks a lot like my grandmother but my mother now looks a lot like my grandmother back then. I was like, no, that was my grandma, whom Netter had met. And she says, well, then I assume that's your grandfather. Yep. She's like, well, who's the guy standing over you? That's not your dad. I said, nope, it's my Uncle Richard. She knows Uncle Richard too. And she's like, he had hair and he was skinny. And I'm like,
happens.
When I was young, I had hair and I was skinny too. Yeah, I look a lot like my uncle. So there you go. But yeah, I am kind of looking forward to sharing some. I'm not going to turn this into like home movies and slides from vacation or anything like that. I don't want anybody to, think that that's what we're doing. But I do want to share some really pleasant Christmas memories, and I think you've got some too, Boomer, don't you?
Well, just some gifts I got growing up. Not as. I guess I'm not going to be quite as sentimental, but I'll show you things I got as a kid.
Should I bring it up?
You want me to go first? All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Boomer Christmas.
This is a Boomer Christmas, not a literal Boomer Christmas. This is this guy, aged Boomer Christmas.
I don't know if I remember
Boomer
being a kid.
like our parents' generation or anything.
What the heck toys did we get for Christmas as kids? I don't remember, but I remember this.
Yeah, I didn't. Oh wait, that is not the full size one. That is the die-cast miniature one.
I may still have this somewhere too.
I did have that.
Yes.
In fact, as I recall, okay, so the turret on the top turned, the radar dish turned, and didn't the cockpit open too?
No.
It definitely did on the
Well, you could if you wanted to pry it off, and you could see the people on the side, but I wouldn't advise it because I don't think it was meant to come off, if you know what I
mean. Gotcha.
But I don't think it was glued, but it would snap back in. But yeah, you don't want to do that too often. But yeah, there's like a little molded plastic of Han Solo and Chewbacca in there.
I think I had all of the die-cast ships that came out.
They're very rare.
And I wish I had kept them, because they would be very much in scale with well, they might be a little undersized, but they're close to being in scale with the miniatures if you were playing the tabletop role-playing game.
Oh, interesting. Let's see. I remember Star Wars toys as a kid, though.
I did not have any of the micro collection.
I loved them.
Kind of wish I did. What's cool about this is they very much had in mind the 3 3/4 inch scale one, but they broke it into sections. So you have on the left side, that's basically the concept behind the 3 3/4 inch one with the laser cannon at the top. You had the shaft in the middle, the what do you call it, the turbo lift or whatever, and all the way on the right, of course, was the trash compactor, and all of those elements were in the bigger one, just all in one line. This one separated it out. I noticed what you did here.
No, well, this is the combo pack.
It's the combo pack. It's the Death Star World, because there was actually 3 sets, right? If
there
you
was
bought them
2
separately,
for Death Star. Because I had them separate. I did not have them together like you see here. But yeah, you could buy these as combination sets for more money or buy them piecemeal. And I remembered, because I remember with the Cloud City for Empire, I had a piecemeal turret thing, and then my dad got me the whole set. But the way you could connect them, I could still add on the extra piece I had to the Cloud City, which was interesting. And this was neat. You got little miniatures of Han Solo and Luke in the Stormtrooper outfits. You got Obi-Wan Kenobi and Vader with the lightsaber. You'd have them do the duel. That little door in front that would open up, and there was a spring that would make it shut if you don't get your finger caught in that.
There you go.
But you have the trash compactor. Yeah, very neat.
David Pensack has a question. I'm presuming it relates to the Millennium Falcon. Did it also have retractable landing gear too?
It did.
It did.
It had feet.
You can't see it here.
You could stand it up.
Three same gray color as those units on the top.
Yep.
And they clicked out individually.
Pull them out and click them out and sanded it. if you want to stand it out and have it on display.
And real quick, I want to say hi to Count Von Rip One. I like that name. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you.
This even had the extendable bridge.
Yes, it did. You can see it right there in the middle.
And that little thing that Obi-Wan was messing with the controls. Remember to get the
tractor beam. Yeah,
down. Yeah, that's there too. Yeah.
The cool thing was that you could have this whole world building for a lot less money than the 3 3/4 inch. The problem was, of course, that you had these metallic figures that were literally figurines. They were
pre-posed in their positions. And they give you more than one of the same characters. You could have them in different positions.
So you could have them in different poses.
Yeah.
The other problem was that because they were metallic and painted, they chipped very, very easily.
Yes. I enjoyed them though. These were great fun. I did have the 3 3/4 figures, but I like these sets even more. They never made.
Did you say you did? You had a portion of the Cloud City, right?
I had everything. I had the portion, and then I got the whole set. I think I had all of Echo Base.
Wow. Yeah.
I had all of that I had to buy piecemeal, and I had all of that stuff. And the problem was, I don't know if there were any other sets. I don't know if there was a Dagobah set. If there was, I never got it. There wasn't. I don't think they did any of these for Jedi. I don't think they made any of these miniature sets for Return of the Jedi, unfortunately.
The reason I ask about Cloud City is that I know that Retro Blasting is working on a video for next year. There is a crafter, I think, on Etsy. I can't remember if he sells on Etsy or eBay, and he has digitized the Micro Machines Cloud City and is printing it in scale for the 3 3/4 inch.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's huge, but it's also got that modularity that you were talking about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I want to see that when that comes out. The neat thing about Cloud City was, remember how Luke gets launched through the window? You could actually do that in the micro set, like press a button, he'd flick out, and the window that looked like it was sealed would flip open like it was broken, and he'd fall out of it. It was neat. Super cool toy.
Welcome to Grandizier 12. Welcome. Good to see you. It's interesting that you say that because I don't have it easily accessible. I wasn't planning to bring it up tonight. There was an article in, I want to say Women's Day or something like that had plans for building a space city. And it was put out in the late 70s for a craft to do with the kids to make a play set for your Star Wars or whatever action figures you had. I realized that play sets could be pretty big and you wanted as much playability as possible. So oftentimes you really had to think outside of the pre-purchase play set. And whether that meant using your backyard as Endor or a sandbox for Tatooine or whatever.
Right. You had to use your imagination as a kid.
That was some of the best stuff. That's why, honestly, to this day, and I'll have a video in the new year, I've just finished a play set. Do you remember the Land of the Jawas play set?
No.
It was about this big, sand with a little lump on it. There was this cardboard Jawa sand crawler, and it was a place for you to act out, the capture of the droids and then the sail to, Luke and stuff like that. Well, I've recreated it, but in a much larger. Yeah, I've recreated it at a much larger scale with the full size. Well, not full size like in scale, but the droids, the sand crawler, that opens up and whatnot. And it's basically plywood with sand, glued down on it, textured just like the old one was. The Lars Homestead, so it's significantly bigger. But I'm going to go through and recreate a lot of these play sets in 3 quarter-inch scales, maybe just a little bit bigger. And yeah, I'll absolutely be doing videos of them.
Cool.
I was surfing YouTube, saw this channel recommended. I am so glad not only that you stopped by, but for that feedback, because I love hearing how people hear about the channel. I know that some people recommend us out, share the stream on social media. I saw, I don't know, Tim Hayes, shared this out, so I thought I'd stop by and say hi. Other YouTubers stopping by, but it's really nice to hear that maybe the algorithm works every now and again. You know what I mean?
Maybe they can back off and just be.
Cousin and step nephew had most of these. I was lucky to have one. See, the Aged Boomer and I, despite the fact he calls himself Aged Boomer, he's actually a little younger than I am.
I'm a younger
got
Gen
into
X.
Star Wars slightly later than I did.
Yeah.
I was already so far invested into 3 3/4 inch figures that by the time these came along, I'm like, I can't.
I had a hodgepodge.
I couldn't even get into the 12-inch figures because I was already so far into the 3 3/4 inch.
I basically got what they gave me. So if my dad thought this was cool, he got it for me for Christmas, So, but I enjoyed it. I was a big fan of these.
So
yeah,
what you're referencing, the Sandcrawler that actually moved. I never had one as a kid, but then I can't remember if it was in the 90s or in the aughts. They re-released using the same molds that same Sandcrawler. Doesn't have any electronics in it, but it's got a lot more space for stuff inside. That's the one I got, and that's the one I'm referring to that I'm using with the play set that I put together.
See, keep in mind we're talking about Boomer when he was like ages 4 through 6, when he was playing with these. So I remember I was playing.
Wait a minute, you want to feel nostalgic for let me see. Do I have it up? Do I have it up here? Do I still have it in my list of videos? Give me just a second here. Let me look.
Did I remember it? I was playing with the set when I was over my grandmother's house and my siblings weren't there because they were going to see a movie called War Games. So if you want to timetable this.
Yeah, go on to the next one while I'm looking for a video that I want to bring up. Oh, I just got the newest version of this, but I did have that back in the 80s.
Big fan of this as a kid. I was very excited to get this. I think this was a request when I was 6. I think I wanted this. And I think I got the Luke Skywalker for Christmas as well. The one in the black outfit from Jedi. I also got a Grimorian Guard. I remember that. Yep. I think Bib Fortuna. So this was kind of my Star Wars year when I was 6, and I got this. I liked the job. I was hoping it was going to have more involved, like there was going to be like a trap, and there is a trap door, but it's underneath Jabba where you can put the characters. Because I always thought that was the coolest thing in Jedi, when the door opens up and he falls in and there's the Rancor pit. I don't remember when I got Rancor Monster. That might have been a birthday present later the next year. But I remember I got the Rancor Monster as well. But yeah. So yeah, I was a little Star Wars nut at 6 years old.
I'm going to have to put us on mute for a second so that I can bring this up. But I got to let me present. Where is it? Present. Share screen, entire screen. This, I got to do the sound. And like I said, I'm going to have to mute us. So hold on just a second. Hold on a second. There we go. Oh, I'm still muted. There we go. Yep. I thought I had that in my little quiver here, and I guess I didn't. So anyway. But oh, you're still muted. Whoops, sorry about that.
There was no sound during the commercial.
There wasn't?
No, I didn't hear anything. It's okay.
Crap. I'll bring that up again later.
You could bring it up, mute it, and narrate it yourself now.
Right, I can. Yeah, if I can remember the exact script. No, it is. It absolutely is a fan-made commercial. This fan made it. I will redo that in a second. Let me pull it into StreamYard and I'll bring it up again. Right. But let's get you back in here. So what I was sharing is that I have very recently gotten the vintage collection. They're calling it what is it? Bib Fortuna's throne room, and that's bullcrap. It was just they were using the Book of Boba Fett as an excuse to sell this play set, but obviously it's Jabba's throne room, and I'm customizing that too into a much bigger layout with the Han Solo in carbonite and all that kind of stuff. But they also put out a new Jabba, so I had to get that as well.
Yeah, but that was the big one. I didn't have a lot of Empire toys. I had Star Wars New Hope, the first one. I had a lot of toys from that, and a lot of toys. Like I had a Tauntaun. I remember I had a Tauntaun from Empire.
I had the.
I think by the time
I did not have the one with the opening belly though.
I did have.
A buddy of mine did, but I did.
How did you put the figure in if it didn't have an opening belly? Oh, it didn't need the opening belly to put the figure in. It just needed the opening belly.
It had the opening on its back.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes, because I had both. Yes, I had both.
Yeah.
I had New Hope toys because I think I got some as hand-me-downs, maybe from cousins or neighbors. I don't remember. And I had and some of those went on discount. So I remember I had the lizard creature. Remember the lizard thing that stormtroopers were riding? I forgot what they're called. And on Tatooine, I had one of those.
Yeah,
but, you know, when you're 4, you don't have a lot of money to throw around. Anyway.
Well, that is true. Yes.
But yeah, that's it for really Star Wars. I never had trouble growing up is I never had like an action figure line that I gravitated toward as much as Star Wars, and I don't know why. I never really got into He-Man or Transformers. I didn't get into G.I. Joe. In retrospect, I probably should have given G.I. Joe more of a chance because it was probably closer to the Star Wars mold, at least with vehicles and things like that. So I might have gotten into that if I had given it more of a chance as a kid. I like real Ghostbusters, but unfortunately, I don't recall getting those for Christmas. I think that was more of a birthday thing when I got those toys, when I was getting into those. And I'm trying to think what other big toys there were action figure wise during the 80s. There was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I think I'd gotten into that cartoon too late because I was into other things at that point. But I had a couple of Turtles toys, but not a ton. Fireball Island, though, I was always obsessed with these fancy board games. I believe this got a re-release recently. There was like an online crowdfunding thing to get this out again. This was a Milton Bradley board game, and I kind of thought it was cool because it was like Indiana Jones, and you know, you would have to steal the jewel, and there was a bridge you could collapse with a boulder, and I don't know, it was neat. You ever hear of this game?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, well, no. Anyway, it was one of these, and the thing about the game was, though, the entire board was molded, so like you would go up hills and stuff. Do you understand? It wasn't like a flat
I get
board.
the idea, sure.
So I don't know. I thought it was neat. I think I played it twice. Anyway, I can never get people to play board games with me. Streaks and Creeks, I'd mentioned that on the Creepy Toys on the Geeky Geezers. That was another one I got for Christmas one year.
Yeah.
But then I got into Legos for a period, and I loved Legos. I was obsessed with these. That's one of the Space System toys. I don't know if I had this specific one, but I had one similar to it. I like the fact these came with acrylic plastic, and you had little spacemen and things. It was neat. And you could. The thing about Legos is I would try to actually build toward the instructions. But they would give you multiple things to build with those instructions. So you could construct a whole nother set out of what pieces you had if you got bored with the one you had, right? So it was kind of neat. I was way into the castle system. I bought a lot of the smaller sets. I would save up my allowance money and get them. But the thing is, this was the big one. This was the King's Castle.
Yeah. Did you see that Retro Blasting just recently did a video about the most recent Lego castle set?
Did they
check it out?
They knew a new one.
A much bigger one, yeah.
I'm telling you, man. I look at modern Lego sets and I start salivating, and I have to stop. I got no place to put them.
I know.
Legos a while ago, but I remember the joy, and this was the pricey one. I think I saved up part of my allowance for this, and my parents put in the other rest for Christmas. This I think was at least $100, perhaps more. This was the big one. But I wanted it as a centerpiece because I wanted to build an entire medieval village. And the thing is, you could connect the castles and all and like the armory shop and the blacksmith. You can connect them all together and build like a town square.
So the video I was just talking about, Michael was talking about this new one, talking about the blacksmith shop and so forth, comparing it to this new one. This new one is incredible, he said, but it's flawed. It's more complicated, but it also has too much in it. You got to see the video. You should check.
I'm going to check that out. I wonder if it's that medieval village one I saw on the site. I was
possibly.
Like, oh, that looks good.
I won't have to. I won't have to mute us for this. I'm going to go ahead and play this.
That's fine. Yeah.
From Kenner, Star Wars Holiday Special Collection comes Mala, Itchy, Lumpy, and all 20 action figures, including the new Bloodlow, Zutmore, and more, each sold separately. And now, Akmina, Star Wars bartender, with her drink dispensing pitcher. Akmina is not yet available in stores, but you can get her free with 4 proofs of purchase from any Star Wars Holiday Special action figures. Details on specially marked packs at participating stores. Offer expires May 31st. Star Wars Holiday Special action figures, sold separately from Kenner.
There you go.
Yeah, you need one of those big dinosaur type things from the cartoon episode in that.
I actually have a Panana Dragon too. It's off to the side there.
But that was the King's Castle. They were more basic back then. Like you wouldn't get like a wizard or a ghost or a dragon or anything like that. These were kind of sticking more toward, I guess, pseudo history. Oh, Netter's here.
Welcome, Netter.
Oh, I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah, because she didn't mute.
It's okay.
I took care of it. There we go.
Merry Christmas, Netter.
We've only been streaming for a couple years now.
I
thought I hit it.
Yeah.
It's okay. I wanted to thank both you and Troy. You sent me a little Christmas gift. You sent me the Ipcris Files soundtrack because I lost mine in the floods. So thank you.
Yes, you're so very welcome.
And you should be getting something from me in the mail. It may be a little late after Christmas.
We already got it.
Oh, you did? The gator bait?
Got it yesterday.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Oh, yeah, Tim, there's definitely some people getting bent out of shape about that one. That's not on topic, but yeah.
But what do you think of this, Netter? This is the King's Castle, huh?
That's kind of neat. I mean, I was never really into Lego, but it's still kind of neat.
Same here. I was never a Lego kind of guy.
When I had gotten into Legos, they had started on having theme systems. One was town, one was space, and the other was castle. Town was like modern time. So do you get like a hospital set or a police station or something like that?
Real quick, can you hand me what's in that white box right to your right? Yes.
These are all the Christmas films.
Oh, no, that's not what I thought it was.
Oh.
Talking about this?
Hold on a second, guys.
It's all right. Ooh. It'd be funny if you moved the camera and there was a creepy clown standing in his place right there at this time.
Although I don't have anything to drink right now, what I might have is some of this gator chow that I got in the mail for Christmas.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Aged Boomer.
Something to snack on. And I got you and Netter a bag because I know that sometimes
you might
dip into someone's supply. So yes. and a variety pack of the shells.
And there's also some chocolate shells. I guess that's how you guys celebrate Christmas down in Florida.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We have like I've seen like snowmen, but they're made out of sand, like a sand castle, but snowman and shells and stuff. You know what I mean? It's Florida. That's from the Whetstone Chocolate Factory in St. Augustine, Florida, which is the oldest city in the United States. And
is it really?
Yes, because it was the Spanish. It was a Spanish settlement before.
Oh, sure.
There, yeah, but you can go on a tour there, and you get a variety pack of chocolate in there. There's even white chocolate. I know some people aren't a fan of that, but their white chocolate is good. And the tour we took there was very nice. The guy explained how all chocolate's different. How dark chocolate is missing the milk, and white chocolate is missing something else that regular chocolate has. It's how
missing the cocoa. It only has the cocoa butter. It doesn't have the cocoa solids in it.
So for those of us who are chocolate enthusiasts, white chocolate is an abomination.
Yeah.
But you don't have to eat their white chocolate netter, but it's good. I want to get you variety. You could try the
But welcome, Outlaw Bill. Thank you.
Welcome, Outlaw Bill.
Stopping in.
But speaking of this, which Outlaw Bill, they used to later on they came out with Wild West Legos, but unfortunately by then I had gotten out of Legos. I kind of stopped at the beginning of the pirate system, which I had a few pirate sets. One of my favorite Lego sets though for the castle system was the Outlaws Hideout. And you know it's Robin Hood and his Merry Men. They didn't say it was Robin Hood and his Merry Men, but you know that's who it was. They had the they had the pointed hats. They had the feathers in the hat. They looked like It's Robin Hood. They had bows and arrows.
that retro blasting video I was talking about. Yeah. He brings that up too because they integrate elements of that into this new set.
Oh, really? Robin Hood?
Yeah.
Oh, I may have to.
Not Robin Hood specifically, but those outlaws that you just mentioned.
I love the castle system, but eventually I moved on to other things, and the next big thing I'll get to in a minute here.
Justy, I don't remember the Lego Toys R Us truck, but I do remember the Shell gas station. Yeah.
Oh, I remember one time I was in a Bradley's store in New Jersey. Bradley's is like a discount Kmart. That's saying a lot. But anyway, it was one time I went in there, they had a display, and it was the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria all done in Legos. And these things were huge. I wanted to take them home with me in the worst way, but that's why I got excited when the Lego Pirate sets were coming out, because I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can actually have sailing ships. But,
when the Pirates of the Caribbean came out and they were putting out those ships, and then of course they did non-licensed pirate ships that were basically the same thing.
They did those before. They existed before the Pirates of the Caribbean was, and I think when Pirates of the Caribbean came out, we can just reuse a lot of we already developed a pirate system years ago. We can kind of bring that back.
They basically did. So what I did was I got some of those in aftermarket, and I would get things like, well, this doesn't have the sails, or this one doesn't have the this or the that. And I'm like, don't care. Bought the things. Yeah. And I used them for a Dungeons and Dragons adventure that I did.
Yeah.
And I did a blue felt water. And so I had ship to ship combat. I had all kinds of stuff. It was really cool.
If I had done anything like that with the pirates, I was trying to come up with stuff for blue water. But I moved on because in Christmas of 1989.
Yeah.
Remember 89?
I do very well.
More the 90s now.
This was the year I graduated high school.
Okay. Yes. And this was the year that we got a Nintendo Entertainment System. It was getting a little embarrassing. Like my dad and I were leaving church, and he was meeting.
Wait, was this your first console?
No,
it's Nintendo. Okay.
I would argue that the Magnavox Odyssey was our first console, and then we got the Atari computer later on, and then an IBM PC, which turned out to be a disaster because whatever IBM PC or PC compatible, I should say, not an official, it didn't have the graphics stuff. We would try playing the games on it, but they wouldn't look right. And but eventually, I did get this for Christmas. It was a gift for my brother and I to share.
The only reason that I ask is because as you were getting your Nintendo Entertainment System, I had already been invested in my
Commodore 128 and was going down the computer route for
games.
So I was becoming PC when you were becoming console.
Basically, yeah. Like we had Perils of Rosella, the King's Quest game, on our IBM PC compatible, and it was playable. But and to be honest with you, even at the time, I would have loved a high-end PC, but my dad was all, "This is not for games." Well, okay, thanks, Dad. And it was like, so what am I going to do? I can't afford to buy a PC on my own, but we got this, the NES, which is a lot more affordable. I think this was the $100 model, or maybe it was $150. I don't remember how much they cost back then. It came with 2 controllers. This is the base unit. This did not come with Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, which a lot of them did. This was the base system. But we did
Duck Hunt with the gun.
No, I got the gun from my aunt, but I didn't have a game to play it with. I think I got Duck Hunt years later.
Gotcha.
But I had Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest.
You told me about this one, yeah.
This was my first ever Nintendo
artwork. The artwork kind of lifted from the Salvatore's artwork for Ravenloft in Dungeons and Dragons.
Ravenloft. Yeah, I remember because my brother had that module. Like that's what that reminds me of.
Yeah,
I remember
Strahd Zarvich. Yep.
And how old was I? Was I 12 or 11? Probably around that time. I got Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. My brother got Fester's Quest based on the Addams Family.
I remember this cover. I never
it's
saw
a cool
the game
cover. It's neat because you're basically Uncle Fester, and it's basically you're the only
I'm basically Uncle Fester, for crying out loud.
You were stopping a grody alien invasion, like something out of a 1950s B movie.
That's
you had
awesome.
Like special guns and stuff you had to. So I like the idea of the Addams Family, or Uncle Fester is the only thing saving humanity from these horrible sludge monster things from outer space. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of funny. We each, since neither of us knew we were getting an NES, my brother did because he picked out the 2 games, right. One for me and one for him. But since I didn't know or whatever, my parents said, you can get one other game. We're going to pay for one other game. You can go to the store and get it. Okay. My brother picked Shadowgate, which is a point-and-click adventure game, which is included in that 8-bit adventure anthology.
Okay, I'll check it out. I haven't played that one yet.
This one's a heroic fantasy. You're in a castle trying to stop an evil warlock. It's like in a fantasy world, and they're different sort of creatures, and they're more like a D&D style thing. So this was Shadowgate. He got that, and I got Paperboy as my other choice.
One of the most frustrating arcade games I've ever played.
It was still frustrating on the NES, and I think back, and I was like, you could have gotten Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. You could have gotten Tetris. You could have gotten Mega Man 2. You picked Paperboy. But it's not a bad port. It's decent.
That YouTuber, like Angry
Video Game Nerd.
Yeah, he did a video about this, and he just rants up and down about it. Yeah.
Well, the funniest thing in that video he did on Paperboy was like, oh, yeah, you can throw a paper in the window, you're going to break the glasses. Let's try this out. And he takes a bunch of papers and is just throwing it at a glass window. It's not happening. And then finally it breaks. He's like, and he makes this, thing with his face. So I guess you can break a window with a newspaper. Okay. But, what can I say? That was my other game. I made my choice and I stuck with it. I'll say this: when you would break the glass in the game, it sounded just like glass breaking.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving along to 1990, because I have to explain something to you. And to be fair, you think of the kid down the block whose parents buy him everything, like the portable TurboGrafx 16. That's like a 60-bit system on the go, which is like $200. Like, I don't have that. But then you think other kids don't get as much as you do, so it balances out. I think I did okay. I had an allowance. I would have to save up, I think, $3 a week for a game. That would take a while. These games were $40+ back then. And if you buy out an older game, you could do that, but they weren't always as good quality as the newer stuff coming out. But then when a Christmas or a birthday came out, you could get some decent games. Why not? My dad did it with the Snowball ones. Interesting.
Yeah.
And baseballs are common too. 1990. Christmas 1990, I got 3 games because that became the standard. I could get 3 games for Christmas. I think that's pretty good. You can't see this too well here, the cover, but that's Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse.
Dracula's Curse, yeah.
The sequel to Simon's Quest, really a prequel because it takes place 100 years earlier. More of an action game. Simon's Quest had more RPG elements in it, but you got extra characters to play as. That little sticker on there says, win a trip to Dracula's hometown.
Could you really win a trip to what?
I filled out the form and mailed it in. Never heard back from anything. You could get the trip or get a cash equivalent. And the Castlevania forms and stuff they've asked, did anyone know of anyone who won this contest? And no one heard of anyone who won this contest. So either the person kept it themselves or this was a scam. I don't know. But the game was great.
Wow.
Maniac Mansion. This is a port of the PC game by LucasArts. You may have heard of this back in the day.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah. You play like this varsity type guy. Your girlfriend gets kidnapped by the weird people that live in this house, and there's aliens and stuff, and it's very much that LucasArts adventure game style game. You have the nerd in there, you have the punk rock lady, you have the surfer dude.
I was going to say the storyline sounds a lot like Rocky Horror, but
kind of, yeah.
Games that you can imagine
if
LucasArts back then.
If anyone over at Disney had a brain, they would do something with this property, but they don't. So anyway, but this was a fun little game. I had the NES version, which was uncensored because someone snuck by. There's a point in the game where you can find Evil Ed's, he's one of the characters in the house, hamster. And you can just, you pick up items in these adventure games, pick that up, put it in you get a hamster. Most characters, if you go over to the microwave and put the hamster in the microwave, they say, no, we won't do that. That's disgusting. What are you thinking? But if you play as either the rock and roll types, they'll put the hamster in the microwave and see what happens. And then you get to see it going and you see a little explosion inside the microwave. That got by Nintendo. They were not happy that got through. I think later versions were censored and something. They put some line as like, "Oh, I won't microwave a hamster." That meat doesn't agree with. I think that's what
that really does not seem like the kind of thing that needs censoring. Because if you're the type of player who's thinking about doing it in the first place, really, where is the harm?
Nintendo had a very family-friendly attitude. Like some of the sexual innuendo stuff that was in the PC version is not in the NES game, but it's still a great port overall. I wish they would either re-release this version or the PC version, or maybe do a combo of both.
Yeah.
But great fun adventure game. And then we, of course, have Mega Man 3, sequel to Mega Man 2. This was the big game coming out in November. Everybody wanted it because Mega Man 2 was a huge hit, and we were all waiting for the sequel to come out. And it did. I didn't own Mega Man 2, but I borrowed it from a friend and beat it. And so I was anxious to play Mega Man 3. Got that for Christmas. So 3 great solid games. And I'll even say this with my, not really a Christmas game, but after Christmas, during the break, I had Christmas money, and I bought The Immortal.
Wow.
Electronic Arts game where you play as this wizard, and there are many horrible ways to die in this game.
Yeah, I would say so.
The Genesis and I think PC version of the game show a lot more gore than the NES version, but the NES version is still pretty good. But yeah. 90. I'm sorry if I'm boring you with the games.
No, not at all.
This is all I remember, and then things get fuzzy after that. But 1991, I had a TurboGrafx 16. I got it for my birthday because I'm like, I want a 16-bit console. Little did I know the Super Nintendo was coming out a few months later, but oh well, we make our choices in life. I wouldn't have the Super Nintendo until the spring after I scrimped and saved my allowance money for one because I wasn't going to get it as a present. Tailspin. This is based on the Disney afternoon cartoon with Baloo the Bear.
Yeah.
Remember? And what?
I do remember.
Yeah, I enjoyed that cartoon, and this got pretty good reviews in the magazines, and I wanted a Disney game for my TurboGrafx 16 because my brother had gotten Castle of Illusion with Mickey Mouse for a Sega Genesis, and I wanted my own Disney game for the TurboGrafx, and I got it, and this one was a lemon. This is not a good game.
Oh.
It just barely passes, and the thing is, when you're a kid, this is why the video game critics always made a point that when you're a kid, you're scrimping and saving. Like it's either Christmas or birthdays, or you're scrimping and saving paper routes, mowing lawns, whatever allowance you get doing chores to get a $50 game. So that game had better be good. And this was only okay. I'm not going to condemn it. It's not great. Kadash, though, this was my second game. This is based on the Tato arcade game, which is actually included on that little mini system I got you for your birthday.
Okay, yeah.
But this is like them taking a D&D style RPG and turning it into a side-scrolling arcade game. So you'd actually go to towns and buy items and things, but you would play it in an arcade, not on a home console. And this is the home console port.
Yeah.
You get to play as a warrior, a mage, ninja, because of course it's made in Japan, so you can have a ninja in there,
right,
and a priestess who has a nice outfit there. And there's a dragon there. I think you fight a dragon at some point, and you fight all sorts of monsters. You fight a black pudding in the first stage. So this was a good one. This was a winner. I still have this this Turbo CD, and this was also included on the TurboGrafx 16 Mini. If any of you got to pick that up a couple years back. Silent Debuggers. What does this remind you of?
I don't know.
It's supposed to remind you of Alien. Okay, well, okay. Well,
yes,
they change it enough to not look like Alien, and now you don't recognize what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's a little too stylized.
You're like an intergalactic bounty hunter on a derelict space station with all these horrible things crawling around there, and you have to shoot them. And you're running it down these corridors. It's in first person. And I kind of think that this is sort of a precursor to games like Doom, but they didn't really have the ability to do it then. People pick on it now, but at the time, this was actually pretty neat. So I'm going to give that a pass. So there we go. And this was the TurboGrafx 16. The Super Nintendo had just come out. And as I said, I wanted a Super Nintendo in the worst way. I eventually got one. Christmas of 92. Here are the games. Super Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because I guess in some ways I like playing with a Star Wars action figure so much. And here is an exclusive Star Wars game for the Super Nintendo where you get to play Luke, Han, or Chewbacca across many levels. You even get to do the Death Star run at the end.
Yep.
And the key to winning that is not to shoot at the TIE fighters, it's to shoot at the projectiles they're shooting at you. Don't shoot the TIE fighters, shoot what they're shooting at you.
Right.
Until you get to a certain level, so a certain point, then you can go after Darth Vader and his TIE fighter. Roadrunner's Death Valley Rally, based on the famous Warner Brothers cartoon shorts. Great presentation, even had the Looney Tunes theme, the Mode 7 scaling and all this, but just wasn't that good of a game. It looked great. I picked it up because it was a Sunsoft game, and they had worked on games like Fester's Quest and Batman for the NES, so I thought this would have been better than it was, but it was just didn't come together. Roadrunners are very difficult to control.
Yes.
Okay. But he could go fast. I'll give him that. And this was the big one, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time.
I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, this was a fun beat-em-up arcade game. It was the sequel to that Turtles arcade game you played in the arcade.
Yep.
It was a follow-up. But this one, there's actually a point where the Shredder sends you back in time. So you go to the Old West, dinosaur era, pirate ship. So even the future. So like, I think it was like Stardate something, like, because it was referencing Star Trek, but there you go. 93, Super Empire Strikes Back. This is after we'd moved to Florida. And this is not a good Christmas. These are sort of lemons. Empire Strikes Back is fine, though I kept thinking I would stay on Hoth forever, because you'd go into a cave, beat something, get out of the cave, walk the circuit, go into another cave, and it seemed like that went on forever. It gets more interesting when you get to Dagobah. All right.
Yeah.
Clay Fighter.
No one.
It was, you would play as like bad Mr. Frosty or Mr. Taffy, or it's a fighting game with clay characters. It was making fun of like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. I thought it would be better than it was. It's doesn't hold up so well. This was a $60 game. This was one of my 3 Christmas presents. This was not good. And the thing about it at the time is you defend your purchases or your decisions.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Not going to spend too much time on this one. This is ActRaiser 2. Huge fan of ActRaiser 1. It was the second game I bought for the Super Nintendo. It was basically you play as a quote unquote supreme being, and you're fighting off demons the demon Tanzra, who oddly enough in the Japanese version was called Satan, but they changed it for the American version. And you're basically raising up a civilization, helping a civilization grow, and then you're attacking the demons. And the cool thing about the first ActRaiser game is the demons all look like different creatures out of mythology. So you'd fight like a sphinx in one scene or something from ancient Greece, you know what I mean? So it was interesting.
Yeah.
Until you got it to the big bad. This was the sequel. They got rid of the simulation mode where you ran the village, which was kind of annoying, and they focused more on the action platforming. And it is impossibly hard, and I never got anywhere in it. And they gave your character angel wings in it, and they made it complicated to fly. It's just not a good game. I don't feel like spending too much more time on this.
Okay, that's fine.
1994. I'll be wrapping up. So 1994. I got Demon's Crest. I thought this was good to juxtapose with this.
Yeah.
This is a spinoff from the series Ghosts and Goblins, and I don't know if I mentioned this on. I think I mentioned Ghosts and Goblins on Good Old Days once, but this is you play as the demon Firebrand in a place called the Ghoul Realm, which in one of the reviews they said that they're too chicken to call it hell. Okay, and you're fighting worse demons, and it's a very gothic, scary game, and it was neat. I enjoyed that one. Super Return of the Jedi, the third in the Super Star Wars games. Yes, you get to play as Wicket in a few stages too.
Yep.
People were hoping you would get the shoot Ewoks, but no such luck in this game.
Wait, they don't get to be the Imperials?
No, and they came out with the Indiana Jones game that year too, and I'm like, nope, I'm not picking that up. I'm done. I got 3 of these things already. I'm moving on. I did get it used later on, but I probably should have picked it up, but I was just... And this third game, well, I would have liked to have played it at Christmas, but it was supposed to be out before Christmas. But we ordered it from an online catalog, and it didn't arrive in time. Didn't get to it till January, so it doesn't really count. This is the Adventures of Batman and Robin, which was a Super Nintendo game based on Batman the Animated Series. Had cool fluid animation made by Konami. Konami always made great games, so I was excited to play this one. And I think we're going to get to the last year I'm going to talk about, and this is 95. Secret of Evermore. That was a lemon.
Oh, that's too bad.
Very popular game on the Super Nintendo called Secret of Mana, made by Square, Square Enix now.
Yeah.
And they were going to make they had an American studio that was going to make like an American version of Secret of Mana called Secret of Evermore. It's not terrible. I'm calling it a lemon. It's not that bad, but it just wasn't Secret of Mana. So there's a boy and his dog, and you go to different time periods, and and the dog keeps changing depending on the time period. If you're in ancient Egypt, he looks like an Egyptian dog. I didn't get it. Okay. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest. If you remember, I had mentioned that on Sunday stream. And Killer Instinct. That was a game made by the same people that made the Donkey Kong Country games. This was a rendered graphics fighting game, much better than Clay Fighter. All right, I'm just going to say. You got one of the characters you could play was like a werewolf character called.
Neat.
Yeah, so that was neat. And then I got a bonus game this Christmas. For some reason, someone told me you get a 4th game, and I'm like, did they have a buy 2 get 1 free sale or something? Is that why? So they asked me what the 4th game I wanted was, and I said Yoshi's Island, which was Super Mario World 2. That is Baby Mario. And Baby Mario would cry whenever he would get hit, and if Yoshi didn't get him back, he would whine and whine and whine. And this was a very innovative platforming game. It might be my favorite Super Nintendo game. It had like a almost crayon background drops, like a kid drew them. Very neat game. And these are the Christmases I remember.
Cool. That is neat.
I don't know, but I'm trying to think of more sentimental stuff, but that's all I got. Okay.
Well, I've got plenty of sentimental stuff that I can
Well, if I think of anything, I'll bring it up. And I did get out from the library if we have time later. If not, we can always do another time. I found this just yesterday. Mid-Century Christmas, Holiday Fads, Fancies, and Fun from 1945 to 1970. Apparently, aluminum trees were a thing.
Yes, my grandmother had one. Yeah. Screen this one. I don't need any sound for that one. So let me share this. So,
oh my goodness,
these are kind of interspersed here. This is little 1 and 2 year old Troy. What's really neat here is so that the top middle there is. If I do this, can you see my cursor?
Let me see. Kind of, yeah. It's a little loose. It kind of does. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay, so like
I
got this little xylophone here. This is a Tonka flatbed that's got cars that you can load into it. Over here I got this really big Tonka dump truck. What's really wild about this is these toys lasted. This had to have been Christmas 72, 73 or so. And my brother was born in 76. And these toys were handed down to him, and he played with them into the 80s. So those toys really lasted. We didn't have a real fireplace, so we had the cardboard one for hanging up the stockings and put up the Christmas cards and whatnot. This was the year I got my what do you call it, the bouncy horse or whatever.
Yeah.
I beat the crap out of that. It got handed down to my brother, but we didn't really recommend he play with it because the handles on the side, I'd been so rough on them, they were like totally loose because they were breaking away the plastic of the horse's head. I used to bounce on it until the springs, I would like be hitting my knees on the ground.
I wish I had one of those. I had a friend who had one, but I never had one myself. Yes.
And in fact, I would jump all the way down so that my knees hit the ground, and then I'd bounce up and the whole thing would lift off the ground. Kind of worried my mom. Yeah, I probably could have.
Are you in like a Santa outfit? What's going on there?
Those are pajamas, but yeah, it was kind of an elf outfit kind of a thing.
Cool.
Don't really remember it at all. The chair behind me, that was a chair that was my size, and I remember some of the joins broke, and my uncle ended up gluing it and fixing it, and it got handed down to my brother too. Let's see here. So this was my first year meeting Santa Claus. So that was, I believe that was taken at the Hillside Square Mall that we talked about when we were talking about
Spider-Man, when you met Spider-Man?
It was the same mall, but that was some years later.
Okay.
But when we were talking about going to malls and, how they were kind of going away and stuff.
We should do a Friday mall stream at some point. That should be an idea. Yeah. I know we did it once on Good Old Days, but I think it's worth revisiting, I think. Yeah. I don't know if did we give this to charity, and if not, we should, if we really hate the poor. But there's my lavender leisure suit. I still have that. Oh my goodness.
Don't we? Or did we?
They had leisure suits for kids?
I'm not sure where it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't fit into that anymore.
They had leisure suits for kids?
Well, I don't know.
Yes, they did.
To a vest?
Yes, they did. It was, I think there was a jacket that went with that too. It was so 70s.
I say this, but like I'm remembering
72 or 73.
I had a weird pajama outfit that was powder blue, but I don't think it was a leisure suit. Okay.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
So this was the picture that I had on the thumbnail. There's little Troy. I this was either my first or second. I could have been almost a year old here. And it would have been my first Christmas. Because I was born in January, so my first Christmas, I would have been almost a year old. Yep, that's my grandmother. That's my grandfather, and that's my Uncle Richard. Because of the curtain, I want to say this is my house in Brookfield, but I don't remember our tree ever looking like this. This looks more like this could have been Grandma's house. Not 100% certain.
Did you go over the river and through the woods to get there?
No, I went through Brookfield to Broadview.
Okay, I got you. I just know that song.
And This was my first winter. Obviously wearing the same. Let me see. This is my backyard in. Wait a minute. Now I'm not so sure. It changed so much because the trees got larger. Yeah, and then this fence came down. I think he took these were the neighbors' bushes. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this was my backyard where I grew up. But yeah, first winter. First beer. I believe I was 2 years old in this picture. It was I believe that's Schlitz. So my first beer was a Schlitz. Not my favorite.
That's
not what I would
the best quality
today.
beer, dude.
No, not what I would drink today. It kind of tells you, what kind of beer my dad got. But
it's wonderful in the zombie movie City of the Living Dead. In the American bar, they're all drinking Schlitz. You can see it in the back. I don't know if that's what the Italians thought Americans drank was Schlitz.
I don't know. I just. But this one is my third Christmas. I believe I was 4 years old in this picture, wearing a trench coat. I was styling a little bit better than I was in the purple leisure suit. So
I was a weird kid with Santa. I asked him for a voodoo doll one year.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That's a weird. I was a weird kid. I'm not gonna lie.
This was. Let's see, when was this? This was fourth Christmas, so I'd have been 5 years old in this one.
Hello, Blue. That was last year.
Look at those pants. I could have been an extra on the Brady Bunch, for crying out loud.
Oh my goodness! So you're like Buster Brown, dude. It's like
I know, right? So this was like I said, I was 5 years old. Let's skip ahead to when I was 8 years old. 1979. The winter of 79. The snow was over my head.
So it did snow at Christmas in the Chicago area then, huh?
You better believe it.
New Jersey, not so much. We usually didn't get snow till January. Once in a blue moon, we get it around Christmas time, but usually it was a January thing. It would still be cold as all get out at Christmas, but the snow didn't usually hit us till Christmas time. I mean, till January. Yeah.
This actually, we have another picture somewhere. It wasn't in the photo album I was going through, pulling these out. But that same winter, we got a picture of my grandmother next to that snowbank, and it was over her head too. This actually wasn't the worst of that winter. About a month later, we got even more, and the snow had gotten so high that my dad had to get up on top of the roof and shovel it off, because otherwise it could have collapsed the roof. Well, because of the snow drifts in the backyard, I was literally able to walk up the snowdrift onto the roof. That's how high the snow had gotten. So last week, Saturday, over on Big Al Presents Films with Friends, we were watching Journey to Bethlehem, a musical about the Nativity. And the icon that I chose was the donkey from that film. Why? Of course, Dominic the Christmas Donkey, right?
I know that song.
Yeah. Well, I had said in the chat, I said, because somebody had said something, I think Big Al had said something about he played one of the wise men in his Christmas pageant. I said, well, guess what I played? I played the donkey. I kid you not. In the Christmas pageant, when I was 9 years old, I played the donkey. So I'm dressed all in brown. I had a paper bag mask with floppy ears. You can't see it. They're cut off up there. Yeah. And I have solo cups on my hands that are painted brown with, black for the ends of the hooves. And my mother took brown yarn and braided it for a tail, and pinned it to my pants. So yeah, I was the donkey in the Christmas pageant. Now, I didn't realize this when I was down here. Well, the box that I'm standing on is my toy box. It's a wooden toy box that my uncle made me. Down next to it, there's the top of my Death Star playset.
Whoa!
I didn't even realize that when I selected this picture for tonight.
So this was, what year was this?
So I was 9 years old. So this had to have been probably 1980.
Okay,
probably
cool.
1980. Something else. When did the show V come out?
That was probably late 70s, I would expect. It was after Star Wars, because they were when the V people show up, they're playing the Star Wars theme as a.
That's right, they did, didn't they?
Which was interesting. They picked that, yeah.
The original miniseries was 83, so this can't be that poster. Okay, never mind. I had a poster hanging on this wall, and actually I thought it was bigger than this, so that one probably wasn't.
Would it be a Star Trek poster?
No, it was V. It was that's not it, because obviously, like I said, this was 1980. So
weird how memories get jumbled when you're trying to think.
It does,
and that's why the games were rooted, because I remember what I got, what year. That's why I could remember them. Yes,
exactly. I had a picture of Diana from V, and she had like the white uniform, and like the leg was torn open, and it was a great time, let me tell you. But so anyway, you saw my my Death Star playset. When was it 80 or 81? It was probably this year. Empire Strikes Back came out, right? So what was the big one everyone wanted from Empire Strikes Back? It was the AT-AT. And I asked my mom for it, and she said, well, we'll see if you're good, Santa will bring it for you or whatever. Well, apparently I wasn't that good that year. And so what I actually got as I was opening my gifts on Christmas was the Ertel model kit of the AT-AT, which was way, way too small to work with
your figures. Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's nice. And my mom knew damn well what she was doing. She knew that she was getting me something that would disappoint me, so I would learn. You weren't good. You don't get the AT-AT for Christmas. But what I did get was a couple weeks later for my birthday, I did get the AT-AT.
Well, was it because you weren't good, or was it because it was just not available or something? Or was it just
No. She had already gotten it. She could have given it to me.
Were you a little hellraiser? Were you doing
I guess stuff? I was. I don't remember it, but she says I was, and I have no reason to believe otherwise. But yes, that was one of the big ones.
Now I'm seeing little Troy grumbling as he's putting the model together or something.
Kinda. And I got to be honest with you. I think that made me appreciate it more, to be honest with you. That it might be why it's such a fond memory for me now. So I'm not even mad, I think that's actually pretty cool. This is a picture of the box that I found online. Mine was actually from earlier, because this inclusion of the survival pack wasn't available with the AT-AT that I got. I had already mailed in for it as mail-in offer with the proofs of purchase. So I already had the in fact, it came with you see here, it's got the 4 Hoth backpacks, some additional sidearms, the belt and grapple that Luke uses right here, obviously.
Okay.
And the mail-in also had the blue backpack that you put Yoda in on Luke's back.
Well, that's cool. They would give you those little extras to kind of send out for.
I wish they did more of that now. A lot of people have been talking about that.
They're less, and I think they take the people, their customers, for granted. I think we see this throughout a lot of industries right now. They take the customer for granted.
I tend to agree, especially because now they're not even making these things for the kids anymore. Now they're making them for the adult collectors.
I wonder what the kids are playing with then.
They're not playing with toys. They're playing with electronics, and
it's not good.
And games. No, I agree with you. Last gift that I was going to share. I've talked about this many times on the channel. We've talked about it for good old days and so forth. This one was one that I wanted so badly. I remember crying about it as a kid because. And we talked about this actually just recently. We were talking about the big boom of arcades and how difficult it was for kids to get to play these arcade games because the bigger kids would have their quarters all lined up, dropping quarters in and you couldn't get at them. So the whole idea of the home console was the ability to bring the arcade into your house and play these games. And I wanted an Atari 2600 so bad so I could play Space Invaders and Pac-Man, and so on and so forth.
Oh, that was your console.
And that was my console.
Yes,
and they were expensive for what they were. And it was really the one big gift that I got. And it was literally my grandmother, my uncle, and my mom all going in together on it. And I don't think I really got many other gifts that year. And I was okay with it.
Yeah,
I got the big Atari 2600. It just came with Combat. But she picked up for me as well Space Invaders. She picked up Space Invaders with it and an Activision game called Dragster. And I think that was
like a racing game.
Yeah, what it was is it was, I guess you'd call it a side scroller. You had it was 2-player. So you had one dragster on the top, one on the bottom, as if they were next to each other.
Activision made good games, yeah.
It was shift and whatnot. And I never really did it right, but if I had a better technique and a better understanding of how shifting worked, I might have done well. But my dad seemed to like the game. But and I can't remember if we must have bought Adventure because it was in a separate box. So we had Adventure, Space Invaders, the Combat game that came with it, and Dragster. Those were the first 4 games that I got.
You got some games, yeah.
They were some good games. Eventually, because we had the paddles and no games to use with the paddles, Mom got me Breakout. Space Invaders. And then when it came out, because I wanted it so badly, because I wanted to be able to play it at the arcade, she got me Pac-Man. And we've talked about the
no.
Yeah, that was a pretty miserable game.
Fail Atari, that neaty. It's funny that you bring this up. That was the only thing you got for Christmas. I remember now when we got the NES, since it was a shared thing between my brother and I got some other presents, and I remember what they were now. One was like an electronic pinball game, which had like the weak LCD thing on it, right? And it had really cool sound effects. It was like a little pinball game. I got some kind of tape deck thing that you could add like sound effects to, which was rather neat. And the third thing I got was a Batman comic that came with an audio tape with it. And it was kind of about Batman's origin. And I remember, and you would listen to the tape while reading the comic because it was like acted out on the tape. And I remember there was a scene in it when Bruce Wayne is studying law in college. And the guy is bringing before a case and saying how this guy went, or what happened with this case. And Bruce Wayne says, but that's not justice. That this guy got, and the professor says, this isn't about justice. This is about the law. And that's when Batman realizes he can't really work. Bruce Wayne realizes I can't really
Within
seek
the
out
system,
justice within the system because
yeah.
there are things that are going to slip through the crack. And that was interesting when I read that in that comic. Yeah.
And welcome, Gorilla Censored Thoughts. I'm sure you were here earlier, and I was just caught up in what we were talking about. But the other element of the Atari 2600 was not only did my mom and my grandmother and my uncle go in together on that gift, but my uncle's best friend from college, John Abradis, had the Atari 2600 and was getting all of the games. And he was a computer guy. He was definitely into all of that stuff. So he's the one who made certain recommendations. So some of the early games that I got were because Uncle Richard said, this is what John said to get, so make sure you get those.
Was this for your Commodore or was this for the Atari?
No, for the Atari 2600.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember.
And yeah, just some great memories. And then I remember going with my uncle over to John Abradis' house and playing some of his games. And I'm like, man, this is great. And he's like, you know, that one's still available. Your uncle will get it for you. and I did. I ended up getting a lot of those games. I collected a lot of the 2600 games. Oh, look at that. Member for 2 months. Thank you so much, Tim Hayes. You were faithful as Gunga Din. I super appreciate you, my friend. Yep. And he says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well, my friend. Can't think of a better gift from you guys than your continued loyalty, your memberships, your just wanting to be a part of this crazy little endeavor that we've put together here. I super appreciate it. But that was all of the whatever you'd call them, slides or whatever, that I, where is, okay. Yeah, we're done with that. So yeah, those were some of my favorite Christmas memories. I remember, so you saw the pictures of me with Santa Claus, and yes. I always loved seeing Santa Claus. I never cried because it was Santa Claus. I never cried, because of the Easter Bunny or whatever. What really made me want to cry sometimes was, you saw that cold winter. You saw how high the snow was, and it got cold. You remember the movie A Christmas Story?
Yep.
And the mom dresses the little one up so much that he can't put his arms down.
Yep.
Mom always overdressed us.
Yep.
So I was so hot.
Yep.
That I was miserable. And especially when you go into a place, now you're even hotter still. You got this wool pea coat and the hat and the scarf, and you want to take it all off. And she's like, no, don't do that. You're going to lose it. And it's like, I can't wear this. I'm dying.
I know. I think, I don't know. I had similar things as a kid. I had the, I hated boots, snow boots.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah.
Pain in the butt, and you had to wear them because the snow would be, why don't you cancel school that day? No, we're not going to do that. Walk through the snow.
What was miserable in school was you would walk to school, even if you didn't walk to school, even if you got a ride, you had to walk from the car to the school. You had to have your snow boots on.
Yep.
And I had basically it was like they were like galoshes, with the snaps in the front and stuff. They were horrible, uncomfortable, stupid looking. And you'd wear them just to get into the school. Then you get into the school and you'd have to change into your shoes. And because everyone's slopping around in their boots, the floors are all wet now.
Yep.
So your socks get wet.
Yep.
And you got to wear your wet socks in your shoes all day at school.
At least at home, when you would take them off and they get wet, you could put on a new pair of socks. It's
exactly.
Just terrible.
Well, I guess if I'd have been smarter, I would have known to bring an extra pair of socks with me to school. That probably would have been.
Because I remember up north, you would, the first, you see the snow dangling down at like 9 p.m. before you go to bed, and you're like, oh. Oh, I hope I get a snow day. I hope I get a snow day. And then you
Love
wake up
that,
in the
because I
morning.
got a story about snow days too. I just wanted to thank Curtis Selby, member for 6 months, also wishing us a Merry Christmas. Thank you, my friend. So for me, here in the Chicago area, oh, real quick, let me bring up Angelus. Welcome, welcome. Where do you draw the line? How many socks would you bring to school or work? Well, at least one extra pair is what I needed to do, right? Because if I was smart, and let's face it, kids are stupid. I don't care who you are, kids are stupid. I never thought to do this. But if I had gotten my socks wet changing shoes in the morning, and I changed socks at that time so they were dry, I'd be fine all day. And then I'm going right home after school, so I can, I would probably not even bother putting on new socks. I'd get home, take off my shoes and socks, and put on house slippers, But yeah, so in the mornings, I would wake up, look outside, and see that it had snowed, right? And you don't even need to get too old to know. You look outside and you're like, yeah, this isn't get out of school snow. Or, oh, maybe, right? And if it was, oh, maybe, while I'm eating breakfast, I'd be turning on the TV to watch Bozo's Circus, because it was on Bozo's Circus.
Oh.
Read off all the school closures. And you'd just be sitting there listening, for your school to be announced. And then
it wouldn't get announced.
And it would. What's funny is my mom knew she could call the school to find out. But I think she realized I enjoyed watching on TV to find out.
Maybe she already called in and found out but didn't say anything.
That's a possibility too. And here's why it would have been so important for her to know, because she wasn't going to go out of her way to take me to school only to friggin' come back. And that happened a couple times. And it was annoying. I mean, it was even annoying to me, even though I was excited. Oh, I don't have to go to school today. We can go home. But it was like, the drive was not fun.
No.
And even for the passenger, it's like, I only lived 1.5 miles from school. So the drive was just lickety split. But it would take like a half hour to get home in that kind of snow. It was that bad. It was, yeah. Chicago winters were terrible.
It's the windy city, right?
Still are sometimes, but since I work from home, I don't have to worry about that.
You're always cozy.
Exactly right. The schools in particular, sometimes you get school closures that were not necessarily about the snow so much. And oftentimes it was because of the snow was so bad, they couldn't get the buses out. So they were like, okay, no school today. It's not safe. The other element, though, and this was true for public schools and private schools, especially back in the late 60s, early 70s, even into the 80s, the school's heating systems were boiler-based with radiators. And if it got particularly cold, they oftentimes, any problems with those boilers where they were marginal, you'd have a boiler burst or whatever, and they wouldn't have heat in the school, and you could be closed for a whole week trying to get that fixed. And at the time, kids thought it was the greatest thing, but especially because I went to a private school, it wasn't. Because now the church is going, we've got to come up with money to pay for this, and parents are already paying a premium price to send you to parochial school. So, they would start having special collections at church and so on and so forth. And that, it wasn't, there was some real downsides to that. And, but anyway, So those were some of, yeah, and I'm sure that's always been true. I don't think that was something that was just unique to us back then. I think our parents were the same way. I think our kids were the same way. If you got a day off of school because of weather, so much the better. And if that meant you can go outside and play in the snow and so forth,
build a snowman or toss the snowballs around, and just
one thing that I got in the 70s for playing in the snow was this brick form. It was like a plastic.
Oh.
It was shaped like a brick with a handle on top, and you plug it into the snow and pull it out, and you pop out a brick of snow,
and you'd have
for making an igloo. Yeah, for making an igloo. And what I would do is I would pack the snow into it really good, then pop it out, and then I'd pour water over it to harden it. And I'd make these really, really hard igloo forts.
You always had to pour water over the fort. I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. And that thing would the whole backyard, the snow would have all melted, and my fort would still be there. Eventually, the top would fall in,
hard and nice,
and the walls would start to. But it lasted. It really, really did.
I remember I had a sled, and it wasn't like a typical wooden type sled. It was a plastic one. It was a big round circle with grips on the side, and you would sit on that. I liked that a lot more than the traditional sled. I thought that was neat.
So I had both. Yeah. I started out with the old, like rosebud style, metal and wood, and it was okay.
Rosebud, yes.
But then all my friends were getting those round plastic ones, and I enjoyed that so much. I'm like, Ma, I want to get one of these. And that one really was awesome. And I played with that into my teen years. In my teen years, I'd hook my foot into those, and I'd, ski down. Yeah. Which was also stupid. I could have killed myself. But yeah.
Would you like to learn something about tinsel?
Well, let me tell you what I know about tinsel. So you mentioned the aluminum trees. My grandmother had an aluminum tree.
Aluminum trees.
And she ended up getting rid of that in favor of a pink. What's that material?
Are you kidding me? A pink tree?
Sweetie, what's that material that you use inside the skirts to give them? Tulle. Yes, it was pink tooling that made up the layers of the tree. It was god awful ugly, but they always hung tinsel on it, and I didn't understand it. Grandma didn't even call it tinsel; she called it icicles. She's like, it's supposed to look like icicles. Okay, it looks like icicles. So we got some of this tinsel to put on the tree, and my mother would try to get me just a few strands. You don't do a whole bunch and throw them on. You get a little bit all over to make it look natural. And we go to all this effort with the tinsel. And then at the end of the year, she would be trying to take it off to save it.
Yep.
And year after year, she'd do this. And eventually she'd be like, this stuff isn't that expensive. It's really not worth it. So she would just take the tree apart, shake it off, and throw it all out at the end of the year. And she's like, we'll buy it next year. And then eventually she's like, I don't even want to do the tinsel anymore. And she started buying the glass, the actual glass icicle ornaments.
Oh, okay.
Which really did look like icicles. And then later she replaced them with plastic.
Right.
Not that we had problems with the glass ones, but with my brother and everything,
it's safer. Yeah.
But so yeah, that was the tinsel memory for me. What's your story about tinsel?
Well, here's what it is. I found this book in the library called Mid-Century Christmas: Holiday Fads, Fancies, and Fun from 1945 to 1970. And there's a little blurb in here on tinsel. And I've never quite understood tinsel. So here we go. Though tinsel is made from plastic today, it was actually first invented in Renaissance Germany. It dates to about 1610 in Nuremberg and was actually fashioned from silver. Shinier metals that don't tarnish as easily were added to make early tinsel glimmer in candlelight. Starting at the turn of the 20th century, tinsel was manufactured using aluminum, primarily in France up until World War I. After World War II, lead was used, often advertised as fire-safe and tarnish-proof. With increasingly concern about the health effects of lead, the Food and Drug Administration banned lead tinsel in 1972, and since then it has been manufactured from either mylar or metallic finish polyvinyl chloride film.
Yep.
It says the Northern European Festival of Yule is an ancestor of modern Christmas, observed in pre-Christian Germany and Scandinavia to celebrate the winter solstice. Yule has a lot in common with Roman Saturnalia, particularly
Saturnalia,
particularly its focus on feasting, drinking, singing, and kicking back to enjoy a break from season of hard work. Yule and Yuletide greetings evoke scenes of ancient coziness in a cold climate and reinforce the concept of Christmas as a back-to-basics holiday centered around home and hearth. In many Scandinavian countries today, a variation of the word Yule refers to the Christmas holiday itself, and the greetings of God Yule, literally Good Yule, means Merry Christmas. Like Christmas trees, edible ornaments, and wax candles, the crackling of fire of imagined Yuletide feasts enjoyed a high-tech makeover in mid-century America. And it's thanks to a clever workaround solution to a programming snafu that the televised Yule log is now enjoying its own second life, streaming to a variety of holiday soundtracks on Netflix and Hulu. In November 1966, Fred M. Tower, then general manager of WPIX New York City, realized that the cancellation of a college basketball game meant the station would have nothing to broadcast on Saturday, December 24th, 1966. He came up with the idea of transforming televisions all over town into glowing hearths by airing 4 hours of cheery fireplace footage, which was shot in color at Gracie Mansion, home of the then mayor John Lindsay. The clip, it was reshot in 1970, was 17 seconds long, and there was a noticeable blip in the flames when it restarted. Thrower characterized the Yule log broadcast as a Christmas gift to both viewers and station employees. The televised Yule log would add a touch of traditional coziness to apartment dwellers who lacked a real fireplace. He reasoned, and the looping broadcast of the footage would relieve WPIX staff of having to work on Christmas Eve. It went off the air in 1989, but popular demand brought it back in 2001. Okay, so
and now you can actually get it on what do you call it?
Netflix and other things.
Well, you can get it on DVD. We actually have a DVD of it.
All right. So that's how that started, huh?
Well, I'm going to drop a link in the chat. Rob Words teams up with what's her name? I'm drawing a blank. The other YouTuber. I don't have it up anymore. But I'm a big word nerd. I love to dig into where words come from. And this is a video about a bunch of different Christmas words and where they come from. And you kind of can't talk about language without talking about the history and traditions that you're talking about. And you were talking about Yule, the Yule log. The root word that Yule comes from is the same root word that the word jolly comes from, which is kind of an interesting parallel that we talk about jolly old Saint Nick celebrating the Yuletide, or the Yule time of year, which of course is Christmas. Now, you brought up Saturnalia.
What's that all about?
I'm not sure what the pronunciation is. It was a Roman holiday to the god Saturn, and there are a lot of parallels between what they did in celebration for Saturnalia in Rome and the Yuletide in the Germanic countries, and of course Christmas in Christendom. And there's this temptation, I'll call it, among secularists to claim that the Christians stole these traditions from the Romans and Saturnalia.
Oh, yeah.
Set their Christmas at that time and blah, 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 and this and that. But one of the things that I talked about last week was how, again, I was talking about Klingon culture and how Klingons also have a Feast of the Long Night, a winter solstice, a day when the night is the longest of the year. How that affects the seasons, how that affects culture, how that affects survival in primitive cultures, right? getting food, hunting, farming, so forth, harvest traditions. And you'll find this on Earth, you'll find it on Knosh, you'll find it, wherever. When in trying to stay alive, you run into some of the same kinds of situations, you tend to deal with them in similar ways. And your mythology and legends are going to tend to be kind of similar. People talk about, the Egyptians had pyramids and the Mayans had pyramids and the Aztecs had pyramids. So there must have been communication between the Egyptians and the Mesoamericans. And anybody who understands basic engineering is like, no, it's very, very likely that, if you're going to build a big structure, what are you going to build? Are you going to build a skyscraper? No, you're going to build a pyramid. You're going to pile blocks on top of each other in smaller and smaller, segments, because if you just try building straight up, you're only going to go so high and it's going to fall over, until you start getting good with your engineering. So, you got to walk before you can run. You got to build a pyramid before you build, Gothic architecture, right? So, when you hear hooves coming towards you, think horse, not unicorn, right? And it's the same thing with this assumption that, Saturnalia was co-opted by the Christians. No. I mean, a lot of these traditions came from other parts of Europe, because winter and the long, the symbolism behind the time of year is going to be very similar. Why do cultures all around the world look up at the sky and see, constellations and come up with very similar mythologies for those constellations, right? Because they see similar patterns. Real quick, I'm seeing some people in the chat. I want to say hi to Critical Thinking and Drinking. Merry Christmas to you, Annetta and friends. Thank you so much, my friend. Have a wonderful one. May 2025 be your best year yet, friends. Well, I think in about 30 days, I will be a very, very, very jolly man, and more than half of the country will be too. Let me tell you that.
Yes.
Brandon, the anime guy, hail to Critical Thinking and Drinking. Thank you so much for stopping by, my friends. I'm seeing another new face in the chat tonight. Although you may have been here for a while, not sure. Lester San Jose, the Skeptic Tank, been listening in. Triangle is the strongest structure. Yes, exactly right. That's kind of what I was getting at. Sometimes I say more words than I need to. You guys can be a little bit more succinct. When I think of Christmas, I think of Christmas '88. Got a Nintendo from my folks. We had a blast for years. Yeah, this guy was talking about his Nintendo too.
Yeah, 89 for me. That's when we got it.
You can catch the rewatch to hear what he had to say about that. But yeah, so the were some traditions kept? Yes, obviously. There are some, so-called pagan traditions that have made it into not so much European, more so American Christmas. So that video that I dropped the link to, they talk about the fact that a lot of German and Dutch immigrants to the United States brought over a bunch of their traditions that completely bypassed Christianity over in Europe.
Interesting.
And so a lot of the Yule and all that kind of stuff made it into American culture, and the Brits were like, yeah, we don't know what you're talking about with that stuff. The concept of the gift giver, whether it's the Three Magi, whether it's Kris Kringle, whether it's Father Christmas, Santa Claus, actually Kris Kringle, get into the etymology of it. It actually comes from Christ child, yet Kris Kringle is adult. So it's a weird, this idea that the Christ child brought gifts. Well, I mean, that's a very Christian concept, right? Jesus was the gift to the world, right, of salvation.
Right.
But this idea that, you know, the Christ child goes around giving gifts, it kind of got meshed with a bunch of other things. The Scandinavians,
there were loaves and fishes, though, he gave out.
Yes, that's very true. The Norse, the Scandinavians had Odin, who was or Woden, who you know, every year would come and give gifts. So this idea that all of these archetypes of gift givers at the time of the year when things were the hardest, right? Hunting was difficult because it was wintertime. You know, you were competing with wolves for deer. You know, I'm being very, you know, general, you know. Like I mentioned in the Klingon talk, the idea of, well, there's not so much game to be had on land, so where do you go? You go under the ice and do some fishing, you know, because the fish are still down there and everything. Things are scarce. This was why the harvest was so important in early autumn, because this was the last chance you had to get all your grain and fruits and vegetables and do what you could to preserve them. The stuff that wasn't going to preserve, well, maybe we have a big feast and fatten up because the winter's coming and we're going to have to get through those lean months. And as you start getting into the winter months, you kind of need to rely on the neighborly community to kind of pull together. You know what? I pickled a whole bunch of these cucumbers. I could share those with you. Do you have any dried figs? Maybe we could get together. We could share, you know,
share things,
that kind of community and stuff. Gift giving. That's where the gift giving comes from, right? Look, you don't have anything to give me. That's fine. I've got extra here. Have some. It's the mentality that humans have at this time of year. So the idea that this would work into different mythologies around the world is not a surprise. Would one myth influence another? Maybe. The idea of the guy dressed as a bishop with long robes and a big, you know, crook cane and a big white beard. Okay, yeah, I could see that working in a lot of different cultures. So, you know, but I don't think it was ever a co-opting from you know, like some nefarious idea. Congratulations, graduated from cardiac rehab, and looking forward to your workation in Southern California. Good.
And to reference what you were just talking about, I also want to say, just chill out. It's Christmas time. You know, I mean,
yeah, right. I mean,
stop trying to rain at everyone's parade. Just
this was the thing that always bothered me. Okay, now I don't get bent out of shape about, you know, this, you know, happy holidays thing. People are like, oh, you're trying to take Christmas out of the holidays. No. The fact is,
there's multiple holidays.
Yeah, first,
New Year's.
Even if you do celebrate Christmas, there's a bunch of holidays in this season. We go Thanksgiving, we go solstice, Ramnite, whatever you want to call it, Hanukkah. And Hanukkah, what? The Feast of the Lights, right?
Yes,
kind of makes sense
at
a solstice era when you're concerned about, you know, the amount of light you've got. Now, yes, I understand it was the tabernacle. It wasn't light to see by,
right? But
still, right? Christmas, you got New Year. All of these holidays are right there. So it's you got to stop and think, okay, what week is this? What holiday should I say? Screw it. Happy holidays. Happy Christmas, Halloween, you know, all of these winter type, you know, late fall, early winter holidays, you know, happy everything, you know, whether you celebrate it or not. And that's the other thing. Well, I don't celebrate Christmas. So nothing says you can't have a happy 25th. I'm wishing you well.
Chill out.
You're going to throw that back at me? What's
chill out. That's
goodwill
what I want to tell
towards
people.
men, whether they celebrate or not. And I'm probably going to be playing this in my
go see a movie.
marathon.
The movie theaters are open on Christmas. I mean, come on.
Yeah. There's and I like to play this every year, and I don't know if I'll get to it on Christmas Day or not.
Chinese restaurants are open on Christmas as well. I'm sorry.
Christmas on Sesame Street is such a sweet story. There's this great underlying story. They kind of redo they do a Sesame Street version of Gift of the Magi with Ernie and Bert. Ernie wants to get Bert a cigar box to put his paperclip collection in.
Oh yeah, that's
right. But he doesn't have any money, so he takes his rubber ducky and says, "Can I put down rubber ducky as collateral to get this gift for Bert?"
I remembered that.
And Mr. Hooper, who runs the general store, is like, "Are you sure you want to do that, Ernie?" "Yeah, I gotta get a gift for Bert." And then Bert comes in and he's like, "I want to get for Ernie for Christmas. I want to get a soap dish to put rubber ducky in, but I don't have anything. So maybe can I put put up my my paperclip collection until I can." And it literally is the Gift of the Magi. They're both sacrificing, their own thing for the other person, right? Well, keeping in mind, Mr. Hooper is he's Jewish.
Right.
He's not Christian. He doesn't celebrate Christmas. So
right.
They kind of talk about that. And there's this great little bit where he says I think it's towards the end, he says to Bob, he goes, Bob turns to him and says, "Oh, Mr. Hooper, happy Hanukkah."
Right.
And he goes, "Oh, Merry Christmas, Bob."
There you go.
They don't celebrate each other's holidays, but they still wish.
Can be respectful, yes, to the other. Yeah,
exactly. It's such a beautiful.
Did Mr. Hooper show up later with gifts for Bert and Ernie, and it was the paperclip?
Yeah. So okay, I'm giving it away. But if you guys hung out with me last year, you saw it anyway.
Yeah, I remember
they're opening their gifts on Christmas morning, and Ernie opens his gift and it's the soap dish. He goes, "Yeah, for rubber ducky. Go get rubber ducky. Put him in." No, I'll do it later. I want to see you open your gift. Okay, I'll open my gift. It's the cigar box. He goes, "Yeah, it's a cigar box for you to put your paperclip collection in. Go get your paperclip, put it in the box." He goes, well, and then there's a knock at the door. "Oh, well, let's go see who it is." And it's Mr. Hooper. I got gifts for both of you. And, he's basically giving him back rubber ducky and the paperclip collection. And they're like, how did you get and he goes, "Never you mind how I got. I knew what you needed for Christmas and I brought it for you." And I can't remember which one is trying to argue, but I still owe you. He goes, you owe me nothing. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas, boys. And it's just nice. It's so sweet. Real quick, I want to say hi to Evelyn Hampton. Good evening, everyone. Sorry to come late. Never apologize for being late. Your being here at all is a gift. Speaking of gifts, I've got to find time probably in this next week to bring you your fruitcake that I've made for you. So I've got to get that to you at some point. I'll reach out to you offline. Oh, and Evelyn, make sure you go back to Netter's Network and check out yesterday's stream where she interviewed the Klingon cleric. Mentioned you a couple of times. You might want to look into that. I think you will enjoy it.
Do you remember in Star Trek 3 when Captain Kirk said about Dr. McCoy, "I heard he's nutty as a fruity as a nutcake"? You remember he said that?
Fruity's a nutcake. Yes. Yes, I put a lot of. I don't think, Evelyn, that you're allergic to nuts, right? Because I put I think, what do we put, walnuts into the fruit cake, Netter? Was it walnuts? I think so.
Yes, walnuts.
Yeah.
If we don't have walnuts, then we'll use pecans, but usually walnuts.
But I think we used walnuts. Yeah. So yeah, I put a lot of walnuts in because, yeah, it's the that's a good fruitcake that we made. Yeah. So anyway, but and this weekend I will be making her eggnog. Fresh.
Ooh,
good
stuff.
Real eggnog. Yes, not that stuff you buy in the grocery store that I don't really understand why people buy that. They buy that because they think it's traditional. It's not. What's traditional is make it yourself. It is really, really good and really, really worth it to put the effort in. If you're not willing to put in the effort to make fresh eggnog, don't even bother with eggnog. Just don't. It's not worth it. And grate the fresh nutmeg on top. Trust me, you'll thank me later. And you're going, no, I've got the jar of grated eggnog. It's not the same. Trust me.
Not the same.
I made a butter batter with cinnamon and clove, and I don't remember what else. And I was going to use that for a hot buttered rum tonight, but and I may still have some after the stream. The headache is easing, but don't drink when you've got a headache already. It's just a recipe for disaster. So someone did a YouTube video about Applejack. I actually found out what Applejack is, and sounds like something I may want to try sometime. Have you ever had Applejack?
I've never heard of it.
So apparently, if I understood the video correctly, well, you know what hard apple cider is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so basically it's like apple wine, basically. Well, what happens if you freeze apple cider? You know, the part that's the apple part will freeze, but the alcohol won't. And you're left with a very, very high proof alcohol. So when you pour that off, you freeze it and pour it off, and maybe freeze it, pour it off again, freeze it, pour it off again. What you're left with is a very high concentration of very apple smelling, very high proof alcohol. That's called Applejack, and you got to be careful because there's a lot of the stuff in there that causes you to get the hangover. So you sip. You have maybe 2 little shot glasses of this, and you sip it. And it can mess you up. And from what I hear, it tastes really, really yummy. But therein lies the danger. So you gotta be careful. Gotta make sure you sip it.
I want to try it now.
Yeah. I'll send you the video so you can try it out.
Try that out. Yeah, definitely.
But remember, you're only firing on half thrusters, so be careful, man. With the alcohol, you can mess it up really, really bad. But
yeah,
it's that time of year for and why do you think about that at Christmas time? Well, freezing. Before we had refrigeration units, you'd only do during the wintertime. You left a barrel of apple cider out, it would freeze. And then you'd look there and you'd go, hey, this part that isn't frozen still smells good. Let me give that a try. Oh, that gets me effed up. So it becomes very, very popular in winter months. That's
I'm liking that.
Works.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where these traditions come from. You got to think, how did people do things before the modern conveniences, right?
It was a trial by fire, sometimes literally.
Or trial by ice in this case.
Yes.
But absolutely. But yeah, that's where some of these holiday traditions came from. Oh, and those pictures that I was showing you, you got to remember, I'm so old that I lived in a time when color wasn't all that bright. It was all kind of very sepia and blurry back then. But I was still doing better than my parents and grandparents. They existed before, color was even invented.
Really?
That's how photos work.
Right?
black and white, and then color, and they get a little bit sharper, and then that's the old photograph joke. Something else that I remember, another fond memory, that I showed you that picture of me with my grandma there. Grandma used to like to take me, living in the Chicago area. We'd go downtown to Marshall Fields. Marshall Fields, real quick, let me bring up the let me see if I could find it again, because I come on, my computer's slow for some reason. Where is it? Is this it? Yeah, here it is. Okay, let me bring this up. Let me share the thumbnail from tonight again. Present, share screen, the entire screen. Here we go. Don't need the sound. So you'll notice here on the right-hand side, this beautiful Christmas tree is, and you can tell it's 2 stories high there. Here's the ground floor, here's the second floor, and here's an observation level. So it's at least two stories high. This is the Walnut Room of Marshall Fields in Chicago. And this was a great place to... down on the bottom here are all people sitting, eating a meal. We would go and have breakfast there, because less people would go for breakfast than they would go for lunch and dinner. So my grandmother would take me to breakfast, and we'd still be in a line waiting for a table to have breakfast in the Walnut Room around Christmas tree. It's a wonderful little tradition. I remember having these scrambled eggs that were... They just had this silky, buttery, not quite, hard fried, just still a little bit loose. Oh, they were so yummy.
They're just scrambled eggs.
They were very good scrambled eggs, though. And the hot chocolate had a cinnamon stick in it, so it was this mint chocolate, hot chocolate. Oh, it was so good. And then you get an Andes mint at the end of the meal. Oh, it was so good. Real quick, let me say hi to Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips. Welcome, my friend. So good to see you. We're sharing some of our favorite Christmas memories. There was, and of course, Marshall Fields was this department store where you could do, if you saw Miracle on 34th Street, which we will be showing on my channel on Christmas Day, Macy's in New York, it was kind of like that. This wonderful department store where you could see Santa Claus, and but Marshall Fields did it up even bigger than that. You had Santa Claus that you could go see, but as you were walking around, there were these traveling minstrels, these singers and dancers dressed up as Uncle Mistletoe and his band of musicians. And that was and they would have ornaments that were specific to Marshall Fields every year that you could hang on the tree. And so at the top of this tree, there was usually a big ornament of Uncle Mistletoe. And it was this very regional, Chicago specific kind of thing. Lots of fun. Trying to think what else. Just the decorations. Oh, and outside on State Street, the windows of Marshall Fields, each window had a different decoration with a different theme. One year I remember it was the Wizard of Oz. Another year was the Nutcracker. Another one was the...
I remember the Nutcracker one.
Yeah. and another year was the Sugar Plum Fairy, and there was a story. Each window had a different installment of the story, and the speakers outside would be playing that chapter of the story. It was wonderful.
And people would be pressed up against those windows to look at the different displays, and especially the kids.
Their noses would be against the glass, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it was always a different, and every year they would try to do something better and better, and there'd be the animatronics and stuff, and it was some great memories. And it was cold, and you're walking through the snow, but it was still so worth it. So Grandma would take me every year, and we would go into the walnut room. We would have Christmas breakfast under the tree, and then we'd go out in the afternoon, and we would go around and we'd look at all the different windows. It was so much fun. And then we'd go home, and at night you'd take a drive through Broadview and Brookfield and Westchester, all the different suburbs. Boy, you go into the expensive, neighborhood of Oakbrook, and just check out all the different decorated houses and the lights and so forth. And the neighborhoods would do these wonderful lights and garlands on the street lights. Some really wonderful things. Actually, North Riverside had, of course, there was the shopping mall, but the streets would be just decorated beautifully with the lights. There was a gentleman with a push cart selling hot roasted chestnuts in front of Marshall Fields. He also he was also a magician. Man, I don't remember that myself, but my grandmother loved roasted chestnuts. I was never real into it, but she really was. She would even she would even roast chestnuts in the oven, and she'd try feeding them to me. I wasn't into them, Grandma. Sorry, that wasn't my thing. But my grandmother was always a worrywart. She would take a knife and poke a hole into the chestnuts, because she was always afraid. What you guys know from that song, right? As we roast chestnuts by the fire, and they'd pop, right? Because what would happen is the pressure inside would build up, and they go pow, right?
Yep.
And my grandmother was always afraid that they'd explode, and there'd be like shrapnel or something, which never actually happened. But she was so concerned about it. That's why she put a hole into it to let out. And my thought was, well, if you're so concerned about them popping, how do you know that they're done? And she didn't know when they were done. So a lot of times she'd like over roast them, and it'd be like, Grandma, you're a worry wart, But what my grandfather liked, and you can get this all year round, but it was especially nice in the wintertime, roasted peanuts. That I enjoyed. I enjoyed the roasted peanuts.
That sounds nice. That's why the honey roasted peanuts are so popular, right?
Honey roasted peanuts. Yeah. That was something my grandfather was big on. And he'd get those and share those. Those I liked. I liked the peanuts. But yeah. So that's another great Chicago memory. But we've prattled on. It's past 11 here. It's past midnight over there for you. Do you work tomorrow?
I do.
Later today for you? Yeah, so we got to start kind of wrapping it up.
Oh, pun intended.
There was a little pun that was unintentional, but sometimes the unintentional puns are actually the funniest.
Yes.
Yeah. So any last thoughts for Christmas? Anything that you wanted to bring up?
Be grateful for the people in your life. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, because that picture I had up, my grandfather died in the 80s from cancer. It was lung cancer. He was a heavy smoker. My grandmother died not too very long ago. She had a dizziness problem that she lost her equilibrium. She was in great health otherwise, but that dizziness caused her to, as she was walking up a step going into her house in the garage, she lost her balance, fell over, hit her head, and ended up in the hospital. And it was a brain bleed that unfortunately she didn't really recover from. But it was one of those things where, because she'd lost consciousness, she kind of never woke up from it. So it was, I mean, if you're going to go, that's probably a great way for it to happen, because there was no pain for her. It's just a trauma that she didn't wake up from. I think the only better way to go is a heart condition where you go to sleep and you don't wake up in the morning. Look, it's a sad, dark thing to talk about, death.
Yeah.
But it's a certainty it's going to happen to all of us eventually. What do they say? Better to go in your sleep than some kind of horrible accident or
unless you're a Klingon.
Well, if you're a Klingon, you want to die in battle. That's a very Japanese.
I just remember that episode where they found the astronaut who was stuck in that place and he died in his sleep, and then Worf said, "Horrible way to die." Remember, he made that comment.
Right? Yes. Horrible way to die when you don't die in battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there was even an earlier. Well, no, I think it was the same season 2. It was called Code of Honor. And you learn some things about Klingon, the whole death ritual. Klingon dies, the opening the eyes, looking into the eyes and seeing he's passed, and then raising your voice in a scream to warn the spirits in Shtovo Kor that a warrior is about to join them. And that's one tradition. There were other traditions. The sitting with the body of a fallen warrior during a hunt to keep the predators away, and then bringing the body back to the family. Of course, some Klingon traditions said the body is just an empty husk. But for others, it's an empty husk, but you need to see that dead body so that you have the knowledge. Okay, this warrior has passed. I need to see the body to know that. It's an empty husk, but it's still the proof that warrior has moved on to Shtovo Kor. Yes, the spirit is no longer in that body, but it's still the proof that they have moved on to the afterlife. And then there's on Star Trek Voyager, they show the actual afterlife that B'Elanna experiences riding the barge of the dead. That's another story. We talked a little bit about some of these things last night on Netters Network, so make sure you go check that out.
I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. And of course, check out the channel that she was talking about last night with the Klingon cleric Kartan. I will, in the new year, be putting up some more Klingon culture stories over there. So, and I'm sorry, I think maybe I interrupted you, Boomer. Were you talking about some things that we might have missed that you wanted to cover?
Nope. Just didn't know if you wanted to go over the week or not, but Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that real quick because later tonight or tomorrow, depending on where you are on the date line, later Saturday on Netters Network, Retro Cinema, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. What movie will we be watching, Netter?
Elf.
Elf with what's that Saturday Night Live comedian? Oh, come on, he played an elf.
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, that's his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a Christmas classic. Yeah, we will watch that on her channel tomorrow night. With, of course, Big Al of Big Al Presents. And then Sunday, of course, there's the unscripted and so forth. If you guys go back to last night over on Deleted Scenes channel, he went through his weekend update to let you know everything he's doing. But then at 8 Central, 9 Eastern on your channel, Boomer, Geeky Geezers, what will we be talking about?
We're going to be talking about a certain trailer that released this week. A couple of trailers, actually. One is for
we'll be talking about the Superman trailer,
and
we'll
Karate
be
Kid
talking
Legends.
about so that's something to look forward to. Some gaming news too that we'll be talking about. That's going to be a lot of fun. Netter, can you grab me a drink because I'm parched and I'm getting a little dizzy because of it.
I was horrified in that Karate Kid Legends trailer when Jackie Chan goes to visit Daniel LaRusso. You know, and he's sitting there all bloated, drinking blue milk, and said, "I don't do the karate thing anymore." I'm joking.
Dude.
I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm just.
And
I want Ryan Johnson to deal with Karate Kid.
And in the new year, of course, we'll be doing a stream talking about the Cobra Kai, because we will be having the end of Cobra Kai, the last portion of the season. So yeah, we'll be doing that as well. So then Monday night at the movies will be another Christmas. Oh! I had decided I was going to do a I was going to have the channel members let me know when they want to do this, but I think Monday is probably the day to do it. Monday night at the movies, 8 Central, 9 Eastern, I will be presenting the Klingon Christmas Carol. And you will probably not have a copy yourself, so you will have to tune in live because I will be presenting it on Cosme. The DVD of the live performance that you can't get anymore because of a licensing thing. So definitely make sure you tune in on Monday for the Klingon Christmas Carol. Tuesday, of course, is Christmas Eve. We were going to try to show Blake 7, but I'm thinking, you know what? Christmas Eve, forget about that. We'll get back to Blake 7 in the new year. This week we're going to do some Christmas Eve, and I don't know what the movies are. Just tune into my channel and Netter's channel. We will start some Christmas Eve movies. I don't know. Maybe we'll do Miracle on 34th Street.
That's a good one.
And maybe It's a Wonderful Life.
Those are classics.
Yeah. And then Wednesday is Christmas. So starting at like 9 in the morning, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, maybe.
we'll start with some of the kid stories, the Charlie Brown Christmas, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman.
Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't decided exactly what films and what order we'll be doing them in, but I'll get the schedule up on the community tab. You can check it out Wednesday. Netter, what are we doing on your channel on Thursday?
On Thursday, I will have a very special guest, and that guest will be Culture Casino.
Culture Casino on the 26th.
And I am looking for guests for next year.
Have you confirmed with Culture?
I have. I have to send another note, though.
Yeah, just make sure, because, he's a busy guy too, and you need to remind him. So that's Thursday. And then next Friday, what are we doing over here? We'll talk about it.
Figure it out, man.
We'll figure it out.
You'll be drinking.
Could be a New Year's stream. Could be a New Year's stream. I don't know. Yeah. We'll figure something out. We could go over the year. The best. We'll figure it out. Like the best and worst.
Yeah. The best and the worst. Yeah. There you go.
Right.
Western Cinema presents Unforgiven from 1992.
That's a good one.
Sunday at 3 Eastern. So there you go. Year Without a Santa Claus. Wade is chiming in on that one. That'll be a great one. So there you go. And Netter?
Since I'm taking a break, you want me to do your outro?
Do the outro, yeah.
Well, I missed most of the string, but I did see some of Troy's cute baby pictures.
Yeah.
We can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well good and fun. But it is so much more fun when you guys are joining this chat, and you're dropping the comments and questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. It feels like we're all hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a great time. And you guys, you're not our friends. You're our family.
Yeah.
We love you guys, and we appreciate you so very much. You can be anywhere right now, and you're here, and that's so encouraging. I mean, not just us on the panel, but to each of you in the chat. I mean, I know I enjoy seeing all of you, and it really encourages me and makes me smile. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the many ways that you support our channels. And until next time, good night and God bless.
Yeah, I want to thank all of you guys that have been dropping the comments, the emojis, encouraging us, sharing some of your stories. There's Mark. Make sure, Mark, you go back and check out Netter's stream from last night. I was telling Evelyn earlier, Netter was interviewing the Klingon cleric, so your name came up a bunch, as did Evelyn's. You might want to go back and check that out. That will be awesome. And as deleted scene says, good night, take care, stay strong and safe. This is how we win. Absolutely. And saying hi to each other last minute. Pizza, yes. And with that, I'm going to say good night. God bless. Merry Christmas. And
good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.